Half-a-day students, I am Governor Lou Leon Guerrero. You all have been through a year of big changes. We've had to adapt and make big changes to keep our families and our island safe. But with change comes opportunity and a chance to try new things like PBS University. While Lieutenant Governor Josh Tenorio and I will continue to do our part to keep our island safe, you students have a part to play as well. Your part is to keep learning and to keep up with your lessons. That's why I am happy to see you here ready to learn with PBS University. PBS University is a way to bring a continuous educational curriculum to you while you stay safe at home during this time. To help you keep up with your studies, we asked our friends at PBS Guam and the Guam Department of Education to put together this episode. Thank you for doing your part and have a great lesson.
Humanities Guåhan, an independent nonprofit organization affiliated with the National Endowment for the Humanities, is dedicated to promoting public humanities programming for the people of Guam and providing foundational support and educational resources for our island community. For more information about Humanities Guåhan, visit www.humanitiesguahan.org. The following webinar series is part of a project presented by Humanities Guåhan entitled Unincorporated, Voting, Voices, and Visions Para Guåhan. This project explores Chamorro stories, experiences, and perspectives on civic engagement in relation to voting rights, democracy, political status, and Chamorro self-determination. Unincorporated consisted of the 5-part webinar series that took place from January through May 2021 and covered topics on the origins of Chamorro self-determination, the work of the Commission on Decolonization, the relationship between art and decolonization, and the role of the U.S. legal system as it relates to Guam's political status. The project culminated with the launch of an online and printed magazine distributed throughout the community, which consists of essays, creative reflections, and artwork exploring issues around Guåhan's political status and decolonization through the perspectives and historical and political experiences of the Chamorro people of Guåhan.
Amongst many of our policymakers, it's an historical point, and it's not one that's kind of easily understood looking at it 40 years ago. When the Constitution was first proposed by the Congress, it was meant as a kind of a hedge against the president, the executive branch, because the executive branch was already in the process. They were negotiating a way out of the territory of the Pacific Islands, and they were negotiating the compacts, and they were negotiating the Commonwealth of the Northern Marianas. And President Ford had indicated through a sort of internal policy memo in the Ford administration that whatever the CNMI got, Guam was going to get no less, which implied that it could have gotten more. And so Congress, really under the leadership of Congressman Burton, stepped in and came up with this idea of having a constitution as the sort of the way out, and at the same time exert congressional authority. And we've been kind of stuck in that congressional merry-go-round for a hell of a long time now. As a result of that, Guam rejected that constitution, said do political status. They say, well, we can always go back and revote the Constitution. Yeah, Virgin Islands has revoted it, I think, 5 times, and each time they voted it down. I don't know whether who's spinning their wheels more, us not retaking up the Constitution or the Virgin Islands continually taking it up and then voting it down. But the last point on the presidential vote, which is really a point that the Attorney General mentioned, which is that when you have direct election of the president, it would seem natural to assume that there would be no bar on any U.S. citizen participating in that. So this effort was led in the 90s by one Democrat, Bob Wise, and one Republican, Ray LaHood, who later on became Secretary of Transportation in the Obama administration, and Bob Wise later on became governor of West Virginia. And they were advocating this. I told them, I said, well, this is great, because if we get free from the Electoral College, then the territories would be able to vote. And they looked at me and they said, "Oh, wait a minute." I could tell by their reaction that they were hesitant to raise that issue. And in the movement today, which there's all these people who are constantly getting emails about eliminating the Electoral College, even as I communicate with them, I can't get a straight answer on whether the territories are included or not, because they're afraid that the citizens from the territories could vote. That would be held as a strike against direct election of president. So that political issue is very much alive. And I think the advocates of so-called getting rid of the Electoral College have a stain on their shield there that they need to address. Thank you for this opportunity to listen to you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr.
And I'm
Underwood.
sorry I'm not dressed for the occasion. I had to go put on a shirt.
Vanessa or Attorney General Camacho, did you want to comment at all on Dr. Underwood's comments?
Well, I will say, as I see DC statehood and Puerto Rico kind of pushing for some resolution there, you kind of see folks demanding statehood for all the territories, and then later on kind of walking it back. I think we just need to be mindful that it's not a one size fits all when it comes to the territories, and just be Virgin Islands is in a different place in Puerto Rico than where we're at in the District of Columbia. I've seen some really good discussion come out of the statehood for all the territory types of posts. I do agree with Dr. Underwood that if there is momentum that's being pushed and they're clearing the path, then we should be very aware of it and to jump on and to advocate for ourselves, at least as much as we can get it to fit with our unique situation. And I saw a question that came in through Facebook about race-based restrictions on voting. I come back to it. If Congress were to say Guam can proceed with native inhabitants of Guam participating in a plebiscite defined as those who were given citizenship through the Organic Act, I think it would be hard pressed for a federal court to step in and to say that they've overstepped when Congress kind of denied us the right to vote for anything for decades.
Could I just ask a question on that, Devin? Because I know that some cases are trying to overturn the insular cases, but in this particular instance, being the object or the victim of the insular case actually helps you make the case that you should be treated differently, does it not? Because, that it allows us to kind of, not exactly a do-over in history, but at least some sort of justice in that regard.
I do, and that's where I brought up, and I think you've commented on the covenant and how they've done things that really run counter to Supreme Court precedent, run counter to some of the established constitutional norms. It's going to be very hard for us. And this is in the Puerto Rico cases, as we were in discussions, they're asking for strict scrutiny to be applied anytime there's a discrimination. And it's like, well, I'm sure the NMI is going to be raising up in arms, and American Samoa as well. We all are in these different spaces, but yes, the insular cases giveth and they taketh away. And I think you pointed out in one of the conferences that we did together that once we can figure out a way to exploit the insular cases, then they'll close the loophole. And then they'll just say everyone now is the same moving forward, right?
I think Julian's argument about it's not a race, but it's social justice, I think could really be entwined, I think, with Dr. Underwood's comment about going to the executive, going to the Biden administration to help support us with that, because his whole message out there and priority is social justice, parity, equity, and so forth. And I think maybe we could use that argument to pursue more, our self-determination and also the voting rights. Take that opportunity, because he's very much, this is what we're doing. In our congressional hearing, all the territories took the opportunity of parity to say, give us SSI, to say, lift the Medicaid caps, and so forth. I totally support that.
Okay, thank you so much, Governor Liu and Dr. Underwood, for your insights and comments. We're about 5 minutes over the end of the webinar, so I didn't know if Attorney General Camacho or Attorney Williams had any closing comments before we say goodbye. We're almost past the end of this important webinar. Did you have anything else you wanted to say, Attorney Williams or Attorney General? Nothing?
Not for me. I just, again, thank you for this opportunity. And the Q&A, luckily, was very fruitful. I got a message from my wife saying she woke up when the Q&A, or when Vanessa and the Q&A started. So thank you for allowing me, inviting me to participate.
It's been wonderful having both of you. Just an incredibly important conversation, so educational. I learned so much. I'm sure all of us did that were on the webinar today. Did you want to say anything, Attorney Williams, in closing out?
Just kind of add on to the governor's comments in terms of that theme of timing and learning from the past, our efforts in the past. I just got to wonder, I think we should ask ourselves when we're saying, okay, we need to take this opportunity or look at the timing, what the fallout might be from Puerto Rico's efforts of self-determination, and realize that that opportunity or window right now might be very limited in terms of how much time is left in this administration and then the makeup of Congress right now. And whether that's going to, the next election, the midterms are going to close that window, and when we'll have to wait again to really see efforts within the U.S. system become fruitful. So those are just my closing thoughts. But I really do appreciate the opportunity to speak. I'm not a constitutional scholar by any means. It's been interesting and really insightful to hear from the Attorney General and to hear from Dr. Underwood and the governor and members of the audience who have been providing their comments. So thank you.
And thank you. It's been a real privilege having both you, Vanessa, and the Attorney General. So thank you so much. And I just want to ask the audience before you sign off, if you could please complete the audience evaluation, which is in the Zoom chat box, and also you can find it via Facebook link. So thank you so much for joining us for our fourth webinar. We have one webinar left, which will be our fifth and final, and that will be to launch our digital magazine, Unincorporated, and that will be held on Friday, April 30th. So I hope all of you that are here with us today will be able to join us for that launch event as well. Thank you again. See you, Smasi.
Adios.
These webinars can be accessed on Humanities Guåhan's Facebook page. To view the online magazine associated with Unincorporated, Voting, Voices, and Visions Para Guåhan, visit humanitiesguåhan.org/unincorporated.
Hafiday students, I'm Lieutenant Governor Josh Tenorio. For more than a year now, you all have continued to wash your hands and watch your distance from others, and you've done a really great job wearing your masks. We know your parents and guardians have helped you to make these changes to keep yourself and your community safe. As Governor Leon Guerrero said, we are happy you are here. We want you to continue to learn and sharpen your skills with the help of PBS University. This program is the result of a collaborative effort. We couldn't do it alone. I'd like to thank the teachers and support staff of the Guam Department of Education and PBS Guam for their work and their commitment to our students. I'd also like to thank you students for participating at home. To your parents, I'd like to thank you for taking an active role in your child's education. We are all eager to return to a time when all of us can share and study together in person. Until then, we hope you learned something new from this PBS University instruction.